Burada sit my dunod wedi bod du I Ruadhán Criso im cartef tywyll and now in Saesneg. Good morning, how's your day been? I'm Ruadhán and welcome to my spooky house. So yes, as per the title I gave this thing, well, first off, welcome me back to streaming from my phone, because apparently that's the only thing I can make work at this time. So, I have tried many things on current laptop to make work. I think I'm doing this the wrong way from how I'm used to. I don't know. I'll try going this way with the goddamn blanket stitch. So, yeah, obviously I'm just talking for people working in who are going to be watching this in the archive at this point, because nobody's turned up yet. But yeah, I've tried many things to get current laptop to stream from. In spite of being told that the webcam, one of you kind people, Cherry, was Cherry Berry. I think she's adjusted her screen name a couple of times since. So Cherry, the Cherry lady, she sent me a webcam that she was not using, and assured me it was plug and play. On previous laptop, it was not plug and play. On current laptop, it's still not plug and play, but I was able to find adequate software to make it run and work and shoot video, or at least at the very least, it can do some semblance of live video, but I cannot record from it, and I cannot get it to work with the YouTube website, whatever. I don't know. I tried to get Streamlabs software from the Windows 10 store for current laptop to work with it. I could not get it to work. There's probably something that I'm not thinking to try, or there's something or another nestled in some little part of the of YouTube's troubleshooting whatever, or the Streamlabs troubleshooting thingy. But yeah, like, I was not able to find it. One of these days I don't know, I'll have to find somebody I trust. I'll find somebody that I trust enough to do that remote thing. I don't know. My station manager suggested I do this shit. I forget the name of the software that he sent me, freeware thing, just to do a remote look from, of my computer's desktop from his. Okay, so that kind of thing. And he was so yeah, it's my station manager. I generally trust him. In fact, the software that we used gave a one-time use passcode, so it's not even on especially trustworthy looking anyway software that will only allow the login stuff to be used once per time, and then you have to the next time you got to try it a different, you got to get it generated a different code. So yeah, if I can find somebody I trust who knows what they're doing with Streamlabs, I may have somebody, like I said, who I both trust and B, knows their way around Streamlabs. I might invite them to come do that and see if I'm doing something, like if they can do something that I don't know and that they are having a hard time explaining to me. Because while I do know a bit more about how computers work than the average person my age, or like, within a decade either way, like I can at least participate in putting together, in like building a desktop console, like, like the immobile kind, like not a laptop, like a desktop, right? So I can participate in building that. So yeah, the desktop that needs a new power supply, that has needed a new power supply for some time, that there is an unused computer over in that direction with a power supply, hopefully working power supply, hopefully one that will fit, but the chassis that one is in is just enormous. It's one of my exes, like Mormon X number 2, he who is not worst X, who, like, some people apparently think that, like, having absentmindedly dropped the full name of worst X was akin to literally doxing him. I'm like, no. As a general rule of thumb, if it is info that a potential employer can find out about you by searching your name on Facebook, it's not doxing, okay? Like, it has to be like it's not doxing. I got into this argument, well, not an argument, because like we were both on the same side pretty much. But yeah, like a discussion about like when it becomes doxing. Like, people conflate personal information that, you may not necessarily want everyone to know, but you're sharing it on the internet, and yes, you may think that this internet community you're a part of is private, but I'm just like unless you know somebody like better than they know themselves, like, just like assume any sense of privacy on the internet is just kind of forfeit as far as personal information goes. Now, when it becomes doxing is when it is private, identifiable person, information. Like, so not your personal information, but your private information. Like, like the difference between, so like, okay, I'm an anarcho-socialist. I believe that the workers should own the means of production. Now, I'm also, like I said, I'm also anarcho-socialist. So, I believe private property has exhausted its um it's overstayed its welcome. Let's put it that way. Whether or not there was ever a time it was necessary, I neither know nor care. All I know is that private property is not helping anybody at this stage in humanity's development. So, but private property is like, like how the land, well, technically the management company of, this building, like owns the building, and, but this unit is my home. It has been my home for 5 years. And the idea that that I or anybody in this building needs to pay somebody to live in our own home is just kind of ridiculous, especially when you consider the fact that in the United States, especially in the United States, like, well, because that's where I know my data from, is like they've estimated that there is a minimum of 2 houses for 2 abandoned houses. So houses that nobody is living in. Okay, and like, even if we say that only 1 out of those every 2 is habitable, that's still, it's like, we have more houses. We have more houses than we have homeless people. We have, and so by that logic, we also have more houses in the United States than we have people. Okay. Okay, so it's like if there's 2 houses for every one homeless person, then, and obviously not everybody in the United States is homeless. And in fact, some of those homed people own multiple homes just for their own personal use. So like I said, like we literally have more houses than we do people in the United States. So yeah, the notion that those uninhabited houses, especially the habitable ones, the ones that are generally up to building code and may only need some minor fixes, like something that is very easily fixed, right? Not something where it'll cost more to repair it than to just like bulldoze it and build a new, right? So like the reason that homeless people do not live in these homes is because other people own these homes. This is their private property that they get to say, like, whether or not somebody is going to be living in them. So yeah, like that is private property. That is property that can be used by people other than those who own it. Okay? Personal property is shit like, this well, I need a little bit more here, but like this is a strap for a messenger bag that I made, and the messenger bag is here under a cat, and I'm not going to move the cat. Now, whether or not this cat is my own personal property, that's like more of an ethical debate. The way I see it is, my dad was not wrong when he said, you don't know what a cat owns you, right? Because that's kind of true. Like Nigel picked me. That's no secret. There's a video I made about, like, where I'm introducing people to my cats, like all 3 of my current cats. And Nigel's story is that he was most likely abandoned as a kitten on my old street in Lansing. I went out for a cigarette on the porch. I have since quit smoking, not really intending to, but just because I couldn't be bothered to go out onto the porch for a cigarette that first big polar vortex winter we had in 2012. So yeah, like Nigel was muling his fool head off, and while this was a street that was referred to by the local 24-hour diner that was just like up around the corner from myself and Best X. A couple of the waitresses referred to our street as that street with all those cats, right? So this was the cat street. And so, like, when a 4-month-old kitten is muling his fool head off when he's not in trouble, like he's not like in an emergency situation where he needs to like call to his mother and or litter mates to come help him. No, he was just like under the porch of the people next door to us, and they had a perfectly open porch, like under the porch, right? Like there was like a lattice work only on one side, definitely on the one side, but on the side near my house, that Best X and I were at, that was open. So like there was no lattice work there anymore, and we could see like clearly under there at all times. The whole like 3 years I was there with him. So yeah, Nigel muling his fool head off, even though he was in no clear danger of anything. And I come out, and I'm having a cigarette, and I'm calling. So at first I thought this was one of the porch cats. The porch cats were the kittens that were born under the porch of the neighbor on the other side of the house. And they were born like that first spring. He and I lived there, and Um, I, and so, like, when they were old enough, like, their mother, kind of took off. I think, well, she was getting to a point where she mostly trusted me. Like, I could get within, like, an arm's length of her. Couldn't yet touch her, but I could get within an arm's length of her. I was hoping that, I was going to catch her and then take her to the Humane Society. She'd get neutered and, like, catch, neuter, release kind of thing. Because it's especially important to get the females done. Like, if none of the other ones, right? Like, if you can only get the females done, that's better than getting none of them done. That's at least how I look at it. So yeah, but yeah, like, she took off, either just because, like, she figured, okay, the kittens are at an age where I can just, like, take off for several months and come back next year or something. But yeah, like, she did return eventually, but I had to rebuild that kind of trust with her. So I called her Puka. So if I ever refer to a cat named Puka, that's like, that was just my little name for her. She seemed kind of responsive to it too. So, like, she'd get that kind of, like, squinty-eyed, I love you kind of face when I'd call her Puka and talk to her while I was working in the garden. But that's another story for another time. So yeah. So, like, like, when Puka took off and left her kittens for the suckers at that one house that always fed her, where was I? Yeah. So yeah, a couple of them, in fact, like, the one that we had nicknamed Jules, he was very much a house cat who just, like, spent most of his time outside. Like, he was definitely porch cat as opposed to, like, a truly feral cat. I make the distinction between ferals and strays because strays either were somebody's house cat at one time, and you know what, I kind of want to see what the hell he's talking about later. So yeah, strays were either somebody's house cat at one time and either were intentionally dumped by previous owner or genuinely got lost and couldn't find their way home through one means or another. So, like, they're strays are friendly enough. Like, you can easily build trust with a stray, like, I'll also hear neighborhood cat. Like, there's a neighborhood. I introduced you guys to my little friend out in Depot Town this last August, I believe. August, September, either late August or early September, something like that. But I gotta clean the fridge, so I'm gonna come back around. So I said I was gonna finish at least as far as I pulled out some thread for hand sewing on that thing, and then I was gonna clean the fridge. But first, I gotta do a thing real quick in here. So where was I going with this? Right. Cats. Please not. So cats. I was going somewhere with this. Oh yeah, Nigel. So Nigel, he was out mewling his fool head off, clearly calling attention to himself. This is not something that a kitten at that age, especially, who has lived his entire life up to that point outside, will do. Especially if he's not in any clear or potential danger, okay? Like, he will not be trying to call to his litter mates or anything like that. This was clearly a kitten in some kind of emotional distress. How did I get to this topic? Oh, yeah, I was talking about personal versus private property and how, like, you don't own a cat owns you. So, yeah, like, Nigel, I went outside to have what accidentally ended up being one of my last cigarettes. I've had exactly half of one since then. And no, well, there was the summer my younger sister died, and I what? just long story short, I ended up buying a packet of cigarettes after I heard the news, which was almost a week after the fact. And then what happened was what? No, I don't want any of this kind of stuff. Okay. But then what ended up happening was, like, I didn't even finish, like, half of that pack. In fact, I could barely have off of that thing, like I could barely have, like, more than 2 drags off of each cigarette, before I just couldn't anymore. Just, on the good side, as a classically trained tenor, I shouldn't be smoking. Like, that is not good for your voice, if, you know, to be smoking. So, where was I going with this? Right, I was cleaning the fridge, and my trash bag's out of here. So, fun skills for those of us living in poverty. Save your grocery bags. Save your grocery bags. I have saved my grocery bags in a grocery bag. And the reason I advise this is because, well, I have small bins. I have small bins wherein, okay, that's got too many holes to be trustworthy. So this is the bag of grocery bags that are going to the grocery bag recycling at the grocery store. Next time I remember to bring that with me, so please tell me this is fine. This is mostly fine. Okay, so where was I going with this? So yeah, like, I've got small bins that fit under my sinks, one in the bathroom, one in the kitchen, or I guess this is the kitchen, that's the bathroom. So where was I saying? Oh, I don't trust this. I don't trust this. It seemed like a good idea at the time, and apparently not, like within the first 2 days. So that, oh, that's even got a funk to it. Okay. So, yeah, if my dad is to be trusted on this matter, and there are some matters where I would have trusted my dad, and probably still would if he were still alive. But that's another story for another time. So, yeah, according to my dad, you don't own a cat owns you. And he's not exactly wrong. He was not really wrong about that. So, do I trust this? I can't remember if I canned it properly, or if I pulled it out too early. Persimmon preserves. Ugh. You know what? It's... I will deal with that at a later time. So, okay, the rest of this is... okay, or at least the rest of this shelf is all good. In fact, I should take this out, because I am making, tonight, so, yeah, yeah, personal property versus private property, where was I? Oh, right, yeah, so I started that with saying that, you know, leaking someone's personal information, you know, this would be like little, you know, things that you share with people you assume are friends who will respect your desires to keep certain things private. Like, that's not doxing. That's embarrassing to you. That is arguably poor ethics, I would say, more often than not. When it is more questionable ethics, I think it's a case-by-case basis, but, you know, as a general rule, you can argue that that is poor ethics, that is not the most ethical thing to do, but it is not doxing, because this is not a person's private information. It is personal information, but it is not private information. It is not something that can be used to identify you and either put you at risk of, say, identity theft, which, oh my gosh, I had so many friends in the early days of the current state of social media, and and I got way too many fucking cranberries, so... but I will get to that in a bit. I'll get to that in a second. So, yeah, I had so many friends in the early days of our current state of social media who seemed to think that identity theft was somebody using your photos to basically, like, RP online, whether they were, you know, honest about the fact that they were RPing or not, like, you know, or whether they were, like, what we'd now call catfishing somebody. So it's like, you're like, no, that is not identity theft. That is heinous. That is awful and stupid and poor ethics, but it is not identity theft. Identity theft is a criminal case. It involves taking somebody's private identifying information. So, like, your full first and last name, first, last, and or middle name. But that alone is not, you know, like, identity theft. But, you know, you need to also have, like, ideally someone's date of birth and social security number for identity theft to be truly successful, because these are things that a lot of people will, you know, use to open up credit cards in your name under your identity and then destroy your credit, you know, so your home address, your work address, your home and or primary, your home or otherwise primary and work phone numbers, right? Like that is what constitutes identity theft. That is what constitutes doxing, is like getting somebody's private identifying information and using it for nefarious purposes. Spreading around someone's story about how you went to Spencer's with your dad and for some reason were not embarrassed to buy butt plugs with your literal father, even though you are 35 years old, and, you know, and, like, regardless of how old you are, like, buying sex toys with your literal parents is something I think is just, at the very least, it is socially awkward to an extreme. But that's another story for another time. And yes, that was a very specific example about a very specific person that I've kind of been LOLing over on Tifarsborg, because that is apparently a thing that I do now when I can't stream. Okay, so we've got a cap that is very broken. I can't remember how that happened. I mean, it's a vinaigrette, which means it's like vinegar and olive oil for the most part, which means that, like, it's already glorified. Well, the vinegar is glorified spoilage, and in fact, vinegar used to be used as an antiseptic during the the Roman Empire age. Oh, yeah, that smells fine. So, so the last time I did a fridge cleaning for you weird people on YouTube who like watching weird things, that was an edited video, and, I am a person who... So, my stepmother was a clinical social worker. She had a specialty in family psychology, but her primary thing that she did as a social worker was she would do she would do nutrition classes for her clients, who were mostly in two categories. Mostly in one of two categories. Sometimes an overlap, but mostly in one of two categories. There were a few outliers, but the majority of her caseload was either A, teen moms who are on WIC and all that, or otherwise young mothers who are on, WIC and food stamps and stuff. So, like, she would give nutrition classes to, said people on these days. And she would also work with a lot of older people, some of them in middle age or older, all of whom, or at least like in category B. Category B consisted of older adults who had some kind of developmental disability. So, like, anywhere from a little slow to we're not sure how you're living on your own and able to, but hey, better this than in an institution, right? So while my stepmother had, like she had some guidelines that she had to follow when she'd teach her class, but at home, she basically took, at home, my stepmother generally took the side of science, okay? So, like, she had these guidelines for her classes, but at home or when she would do home visits with a lot of people in Category A or the outliers from, both Category A and Category B, so yeah, like, when she knew somebody had, like, the ability to be a bit more discerning, okay? like when she could tell somebody had a more discerning level of cognitive function, she would, like I said, she would go with the science. And the science says that, like, the sell-by date on foods, like, this is not a quote-unquote expiration date. It is barely based on anything. Oh, yeah, that smells fine. That it is barely based on anything. In fact, like, Alton Brown did an episode about this, of Good Eats about this. Adam Conover of Adam Ruins Everything, he did an episode about this, or at least an episode that had a chapter about this, about the, quote-unquote expiration dates. Like, no, this is a sell-by date, because the FDA has a requirement that, for food safety, and this is largely due to Upton Sinclair's The Jungle, from which a lot of people at the time took, like, not the message that Sinclair wanted to give. Like, he was doing, like, a pro, like, socialism message, or at least that's the message he had hoped to convey through this, but a lot of people were just like, oh my gosh, food safety, this is a thing we need to be way extra concerned about, right? So yeah. I mean, on the good side, like, yeah, like, there is, the FDA has kind of gone from there, that initial, like, that initial hysteria that caused it to form in the first place, and has actually done, like followed the science in a lot of ways, but at the same time, we've got these little remnants, like sell-by dates. So yeah, like, a sell-by date is not an expiration date. This is not a day when the food within the container will somehow magically be 100% uneatable. Like, this will somehow make you incredibly ill if you were to eat this food after this date. That is not a thing. In fact, like, both Conover and Brown have said, this is how you can tell I grew up Catholic, right? In fact, like, I don't even need to keep these in the fridge, honestly, because these are all, these are mostly ketchup packets. So yeah, like, this is a thing. In fact, like, when I saw Stephen Colbert on a late show sometime this last week, no, not this week, but the previous week, So yeah, like sometime a little over a week ago, he was on. Well, of course, it was his show, but he had the Bowling for Columbine guy. It's not Mike Myers. It's not Mike Myers. Mike Myers is Wayne's World. Shit. Whatever. The guy, the Bowling for Columbine guy. So yeah, like apparently I didn't know that guy grew up Catholic too, but I'm also familiar enough with the area of the greater Metro Detroit Tri-County-ish area that he's from, so it doesn't surprise me that he grew up Catholic as well. And they were both saying, oh yeah, that whole like junk drawer you've got that's full of soy sauce and mustard packets that, you know, just in case company comes over and needs one, right? So yeah, like this is very much ex-Catholic culture, and apparently practicing Catholic culture. Well, I mean, if it's ex-Catholic culture too. But I've talked with enough ex-Catholics. Like, we've all got this thing. We've all got the little, like, container, or apparently some people just, like, flat out have an entire drawer in their kitchen dedicated to the condiment packets that, you know, you're not gonna use them, but you save them because, because throwing away food is a sin. This all still smells good. Okay, so, you know what? Fuck it. This is a gift. I'm gifting this. Yeah, it's been in the fridge. So, okay, one time from the food pantry, in fact, like, just because, like, I know my sister can be a little bit extra about things sometimes, especially with all the crap going on with her family right now, and Lenawee County, and I will say this harder about Lenawee County than I will about Washtenaw, but Lenawee County for the last 30 years has been an embarrassment to its legacy. I will say that with more conviction about Lenawee County than I will about Washtenaw County. Why? Because Lenawee County fucking white. Okay, like, there goes my monetization, of course, on this one. I think I've managed to get this far without swearing, which is kind of a record for me. So, where was I going with this? Right, so, Lenawee County, Adrian, Michigan, was a really, like, it was an up-and-coming city at the turn of the 19th, 20th century. So, like, that, there was a good, like, 20, 30-year span there where Adrian, Michigan was a pretty respectable little city. Unfortunately, it went into a decline during the 40s, I believe, was when the freeways started getting put in. Maybe it was the 50s. It was after World War II that the freeways were getting put in. Maybe it was during the last years of World War II. I don't know, like, that, like, my knowledge of local history is not, like, all in, you know, it's not, like, down to the letter, half the time, but I do have, you know, a fair general knowledge of it. So where was I going with this? So yeah, like, but even before that, so there's a statue in the middle of Adrian, Michigan, of this woman, Laura Haviland. She was a Quaker, much like my stepmother was, much like Jessica K, like, her last name is K, it begins with a K, but it's hyphenated. She's deaf. She's also got POTS, she says. But yeah, like, very popular disabled YouTuber. She's also a Quaker, so, like, here we've got an idea of, like, the people who founded Adrian. And they did found Adrian. And, like, this was even before there was, like, a schism that caused the divide between the current, or, you know, like, what became the current Society of Friends and the Evangelical Friends Society. Okay, so yeah, my stepmother's first husband was one of those evangelical Quakers, which is, like, basically, like, there's little discernible difference between them and other Christian evangelists, other than the fact that they're explicitly pacifists. Except for the fact that, and I 100% believe this, that my stepmother's first husband was a bit of a violent person at home. So I already said fuck. I'm getting no monetization, but where was I going with this? All right. So yeah, like but yeah, at least when I moved there anyway, with my dad and my younger sister, the one who passed, 3 years ago, was when Molly died. And of course, like, somebody demanded to know on one of my other YouTube videos, like, why are you giving your sister's name? Like, don't you know that there are people on the internet who hate you? I'm like, I'm giving Molly's name because Molly dead. Molly dead. Like, there's not much you can do about Molly after she's dead. Like what? Like, are you gonna, like, harm a dead woman? A dead junkie, too. Like, I mean, okay, like, no... I don't mean that in any disrespect to people who are struggling with substance abuse in general, but yeah, like Molly didn't just do junk, she talked junk. Like, she was junk in all meaningful sense of the word. In fact, my sister, the living one, is technically my half-sister from my dad's side, but that's another story for another time. But actually, that's about it. So where was I going with that? Yeah, like my sister, the living one, of course, obviously, because, like, in my family, it's like, say half sister when it's like when you're, like, giving medical, histories and stuff, because, like, your doctor might need to know that, like, that just because this sister has, like, this condition and this other sister has this condition, like, it could come from the other parent of that particular half-sister, it doesn't necessarily, so, like, it's not, but, your full siblings, make that differentiation for, like, medical stuff, but, in your day-to-day talk and all of that, like, your sisters are your sisters, right? Doesn't matter if they're, half by genetics or full by genetics. Your sisters are your sisters, right? So yeah, like, that's why I keep jumping in to correct myself, because I know, like, there are people who will have watched enough of my stuff to know that I have two half-sisters, one on each side, and I had a full sister, but when I say my sister, you might think, I don't know, I'm tangenting. So yeah, like, my sister, the living one, she is one of those people who is just so kind and loving, and she really wants to believe the best of everybody, that, like, everybody has the best intentions deep down, even if they're going through hard times. She truly believes that people genuinely mean well, with very rare exceptions. Like, I'm sure she'd think Adolf from World War II Germany, though I don't know why I'm caring about this at this point. Like I said, I've already dropped an F-bomb, so I don't know. But yeah. So, like, Ruby, like, I can say, like, sometimes I will say that I can be optimistic to a fault. I know Best X thinks I can be optimistic to a fault. Like, that was his exact words about me one time. That I'm nauseatingly perky goth and optimistic to a fault. And I'm just like, well, screw you then, right? How's that for optimistic to a fault? But where was I going with this? Right. So, seriously, I got this many fucking cranberries. Okay, you're gonna watch me make cranberry sauce. And I'm gonna want to heat it up. Oh, right. I already told Ruby that I was probably gonna bring the rice cooker to reheat the cranberry sauce, or at least keep it warm via steam. Where was I? I was saying something. Oh, right. I got going on about this because of the last time I did a fridge cleaning video. It was edited, and right, I was Ew, that is definitely not healthy. So where was I? What was I saying? Right. So yeah, I was going on about my stepmother and how. Oh, right. This is the ginger. Yes. Okay. So like when you're storing fresh stuff, the fridge is often like the like a good idea to store your fresh items, especially your fresh produce, but they're going to want to be handled in different ways. Like this is just how I traditionally store fresh ginger in the fridge is I wrap it up in a paper bag. A lot of times I will put a layer of waxed paper around it before putting it in the paper bag, but I got this very recently, so you can also freeze ginger as well, so I'm probably going to freeze the rest of that after I use what I need. This is healthy, but I gotta use it fast. So it's like just barely. This one too. Okay, so I've got a few. Ew. Okay. Oh, wait, please. Wow. Holy hell. How is this still okay? It's got some condensation on this, so I'm gonna wanna use it fast and put it back in the fridge after every time I open it, but so yeah, the whole thing with the fridge, ugh. Okay, wow, I'm embarrassed. I'm glad you're not looking at this, but yeah, the thing with the sell-by date that I was going on about, like that is not, it's barely based on anything. Like there are no guidelines, like there are no FDA guidelines about how to estimate a sell-by date. So it's like, the food producers and and any applicable people in the middle that. Okay, this was frozen. It's got a vacuum on it. Ooh, the vacuum has been compromised somehow. I don't like that color. Okay, that was a chicken breast. Whoa. This is still pink. I don't remember how long this has been in there, but apparently that is indeed the coldest part of the fridge. Shit, do I want to, what was I doing for dinner? Okay, I gotta have dinner soon. I need to be in bed by 3:30 at the absolute latest. I don't know what that is. It's probably ranch dressing. I'm not the biggest fan of ranch dressing. I literally only have ranch dressing for any. Ooh, yeah, that vacuum's been compromised too. Literally the only ranch dressing I have is for guests who might want ranch dressing. I have never been a particular fan. Every once in a while, I will get a craving for one of those fancy pants ranches. You know what? I'm just gonna sacrifice the reusable produce bags. I think I can either buy or make new ones at this point. I'm just, my crisper is so gross. I am very embarrassed by this. I am very glad you're not looking at this. This is awful. I'm a terrible, terrible adult. Ugh. So, wait, why did I leave my violet jelly out? It says it's made with violet. Like you make a tea out of violet flower. Ooh, I might want to put the label back on a little bit better, just so that I don't forget what it is. But I will put it there on top of that thing of butter. And ooh, nope, there's fur on that sauce. Okay. Ooh, cornichons, a little bit of cornichons. So where was I going? Right. So yeah, the whole thing with the sell-by date on your foods, there is no science behind that. There's like, wait, what is? Oh right, that was the ground beef. I was going to. I'm gonna make myself a couple of patties. Definitely have one of them. Ooh, this has a tiny little. You know what? This is fine for using as a bin liner because I very seldom put wet things in the thing in the bin under the sink. Yeah, same with this one. It's fine for a bin liner, but not for what became of my crisper. So, where was I going? Yeah, the sell-by date, that, it's based on nothing. It is, like, or, you know, it's, like, barely based on anything, at best, right? Like, best possible, you know, cases, it's barely based on anything. More often than not, you can assume it is based on nothing. Absolutely nothing. Like, there are no FDA guidelines on how to determine a sell-by date. They're like in, especially in the US. I don't know about other countries, but in the US, there are literally no guidelines on how to estimate a sell-by date. And you know what? I'm gonna. Yep, but the container is still fine. Ugh. Okay. No. I was gonna wash this robe anyway, but where was I? There was a thing. No, not any of that. Okay. You know what? I'll put this off until I get. I'll put down the deep hurting part until I get back tomorrow. But this does mean that I can move the cottage cheeses right there, and please. Oh yeah, that's fine. So yeah, like both Adam Conover and what's his face, Alton Brown have both said that like you're more often than, or you know, for most people, your eyesight and your nose are sufficient to determine whether or not a food has gone bad. Okay, but you know the sell-by date, it means barely more than nothing, right? It barely means anything at its best. But yeah, it's just like I said, like by FDA guidelines, there has to be a sell-by date on most foodstuffs. I think all foodstuffs, but I'm like, when it comes to stuff like dried cereals, do people really care all that much about, you know, something? Ugh. Okay, I know what that was. That was a meatball. I don't know. Wait, no. Nope, never mind. That's cheese. Never mind. I was like, what was, oh, right. This was that weird, I'm probably going to need a new bin liner under the sink, so I'll start that one up already. But yeah, there was a thing. There was a thing I was talking about. But yeah, like, so like FDA guidelines say that there has to be a sell-by date on your foods, but they don't tell you how to estimate the sell-by date, which is like, why even have a sell-by date if you're going to give no guidelines for any of it on, you know, like how to determine it, right? So yeah, like, so yeah, the sell-by date on your food, this is not a food will magically turn bad after this date. Do not eat, it is poison. Now, then there's the case, then like if it becomes a case of food hoarding, which I admit, having grown up in poverty, especially an ex-Catholic who grew up in poverty, I kind of have a little bit of tendency toward doing so. So for the most part, like, you know, unfortunately, like my biggest issue right now, re crap that doesn't have as far as like clutter and all of that shit right now in my life as is, like my biggest issue right now is less having too much food around and more just like I think my previous speculation from this autumn that maybe my seasonal affective disorder might have switched seasons. I don't think that's true anymore, because this last couple weeks, like, I have known, like, how cluttered my apartment has gotten, and yet I feel very little motivation toward picking it back up again to how it was, like even just how the kitchen was this last summer. So yeah, clearly that's still an issue. Unfortunately, Medicare will not cover the major scientifically proven method of helping a person manage their own seasonal affective disorder, which is those little like light lamps, which if I were to buy one myself, like over the counter or something, we're looking in the area of $30 to $40, like even after coupons from like Bed Bath & Beyond or something. So it's like, generally speaking, when I am most able to justify that expense is usually like between late spring and early autumn, like financially speaking anyway. That seems to be when I am better off financially, if only because that's busking season. That is like prime busking season, right? But during that time, I'm not thinking about that. Now, when it is no longer busking season, like early winter, like we're in now, I am less able to justify that expense because other things come up, especially now that I've got my family back in my life, or at least, what little of them remains. At least out of the ones that I generally grew up with, because I know that there's other members of my family that I did not grow up with, but who are still alive, technically. But yeah, they were either not a major part of my life, but I knew about them, or they're people that I kind of learned about later in my teen years. It's just oven debris, so yeah, like either it's people I learned about later in my teen years, or at some point in adulthood that because McElroy, right? It's not the most common of Irish surnames, but it's distributed enough that we generally are very enthused about learning about each other when we find them. So where was I going with this? All right. Okay, so the base recipe there, but I do it. It's been a while since I've made my cranberry sauce, and I'm sorry about the bad light on this right now, because this phone apparently does not have a front-facing flash, or selfie-facing flash, whatever. This is one of my succulents that I had to bring in from the balcony. I'm still trying to figure out where the hell it's going, because this is okay. So for now, it can sit on top of whatever the hell is lurking in my those Gladware, I think, Rubbermaid, whatever, the produce boxes that have the little venti thing on them. Where was I going with this? Right. Right. So it's been a few years since I've made cranberry sauce, and that's because oh yeah, the last year I made it was that first only Thanksgiving with Isaac, technically, but yeah, the first one that I had any people over to have a harvest dinner of sorts with, and yeah, that was I kind of want to Because it's going to get warm in here. It's going to get warm in here. Like, the weather has been fucking nuts. So, as I'm sure most other people from Michigan will agree, the weather has been fucking nuts. It's not supposed to be in the 60s in November, but it has been periodically this last few weeks. So let's see. And yeah, I think it's technically like in the mid 40s right now, but one thing that they don't necessarily tell you when you start taking testosterone is that so my temperature in general, or wait, no, maybe that does explain it, because actually I can't remember what my baseline temperature was before I start, because it was like 15 years ago, right? So what was I saying, right? So yeah, my baseline temperature is usually between like 97.9, 98 point, no. Yeah, it's usually like in the like 98.3, 97.8, something like that. It's noticeably cooler than the, average 98.6. So yeah, like when it's over 98.5, my doctor actually, is concerned that I might be slightly feverish. Because, like I said, my body temperature is usually a little bit on the lower side. Does that make sense? How I'd be more sensitive to warmth and heat? Does it make sense that way? Like, if you have a cooler body temperature, do you always feel warmer? Or is it when you have a warmer temperature, you always feel warmer? Like, if your temperature is warmer than average. I don't remember how that works. But you know what? The cats are right. It's, I was trying to adjust my sleeping schedule last night, and, oh wait, you know what? I can do prep for cranberry sauce, but I was gonna have burger. Remember that burger flag, BORGER, burger flag, for people who like burger. And then I saw that on Facebook, I believe, and I responded to somebody who had put that up, and I said, no, this is the flag for bisexual sloppy bears. There are apparently people, an old friend of mine, she, like her boyfriend is openly bisexual, and I believe she is as well. So yeah, like her current boyfriend's openly bisexual. She has been openly bisexual for most of the time I've known her. At least most of the time I've known her anyway. Yeah. And I'm also like thinking like it could have been one of those things where just like, I don't know, like maybe she assumed people knew, so like maybe she was out the entire time I knew her, but I just didn't really put it all together like that for a while anyway. So yeah, like her current boyfriend was apparently unaware that Bob Belcher, as in the title character from Bob's Burgers, is well regarded as a bisexual icon. And the reason for that being is that he has kind of said so. He has kind of said so that, yeah, like they, well, the big one where he mentions that is the Thanksgiving episode, Turkey in a Can. And the guy at the butcher counter, he's like, "No, what am I thinking? Going to Tony? Like, it's been a while, and we're just not going anywhere." And Bob says, "No, you should stay with Tony. And anyway, I'm straight. Well, mostly straight. But I'm married. But if I wasn't, oh, who am I kidding? You're out of my league. It'll never work." Right, so it's like, Bob low-key came out as bisexual by the 3rd season, I believe. I think that was the 3rd season. Thanksgiving episode. So where was I going? Right. So yeah, like her... Oh, okay, it looked fine on top, but this smell is no longer trustworthy. Okay, well, that's, okay. Well, I can put this away then. So, yeah, like, when it comes out and wafts you in the face, like, it doesn't matter what color it is. It's not healthy at that point. Okay. Now, when I say I have tendencies toward food hoarding, I'm talking about shit like with my freezer right now. Though to be fair, in my defense, as in my own defense, there's an issue. So like the door on my freezer is supposed to have those little things in front of it, like, you know, like it's got the little shelves and it's supposed to have the things in front of the shelves to hold shit on there. It has lost those things. But, you know, according to building management, that's not worth replacing the fridge over. So yeah. Excuse me. So let's see, I've got these frozen, chopped and pressed chicken boob fillet things. So this is dinner. And I saw somebody had said something, so I'm going to come and check that in a second here. Stay. So yeah, like my freezer, I keep thinking like maybe I should get some twine of some sort and, you know, like rig up a thing so that stuff stays on the door shelves. Oh, hey. Hi, okay. Okay, so far it looks like you're the only one who has had anything to say to me. Oh, unless this went to... Yeah, it went to top chat versus live chat. Let me see if live chat changes anything. Nope, it does not. So, okay. So you're the first person to have said anything this whole hour and change. So, let's see. I've got those things heating because they're pre-cooked. So, it even recommends heating them in the microwave, but I'm like, no, I have discovered this, that the microwave does indeed use more electricity than the stove. That may strike some people as surprising, since a microwave is generally much smaller than the stove, than the, you know, like cooktop range on the stove. No, I was like barely going on about anything because you're saying sorry about getting late. No, well, I didn't even know, like, I just kind of did this. I just like decided to stream at like pretty much like minutes before I actually got to stream, and it was because I'd been testing every few days to see if YouTube was going to let me stream from my phone again, because I had dipped under 1,000 subscribers, and I'd come back up after that Adora Bat Brat garbage person, like, really got a lot of us old-timers to say something about, like... And, you know, I keep thinking, like, maybe I should go back and, like, redo that ranty video about her, because, OMG... Oh, IKR, okay. I thought I could have said JKR for a second there, which would have been, like, just kidding, right? But, okay, but yeah, like, oh, gosh. I keep thinking I want to go back and, like, re-record that, but it's been, like, almost a month after the fact, and plus it's, like, the only thing I'd add was to, like, be more explicit in, like, I don't know, I keep thinking, like, maybe there's things I could have said differently, like there are people who just, like, straight up, like, on Reddit or something, Facebook, I think a couple of them, where like they kind of like explicitly disavow Adora as part of the goth community, like online or otherwise, because technicality, right? Excuse me, but what was I saying? Right. So, but I'm just but I think I was fine. You did just fine. Yeah. I mean, I keep, like, the reason I haven't redone it is because I think I was generally fine because I did point out that, like, you know, whether she's goth or not is irrelevant because people see her and they associate her and her look, especially with her screen name, Adora Bat Brat, you know, like, they're already associating her with the goth community. So it doesn't matter, like, if she is goth or not. It doesn't matter if she says she's goth or not, because, like, she seems to go back and forth. Like, there was that interview with Cold Candy she did a couple years ago where she seemed... I watched that, and she kind of seemed a little bit annoyed at a couple points, like, when he kept, like, referring to her as goth, and she's like, no, I'm not a goth, I like synth pop. And, you know, like, she seemed kind of annoyed at a certain point in that, like her face looked visibly annoyed. It wasn't just her, you know, change in tone, which I can barely detect sometimes, and maybe it would be more detectable if I were, you know, more familiar with her accent, but no, like, her face is what said it to me, was that, like, you know, she was getting kind of annoyed with this insistence that she's goth, and she had apparently been repeatedly telling him, I'm not a goth, I just look like the scary cartoon princess. And I'm like, you know, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if she says she is or not. It doesn't matter if she is or not, because even if she's not, even if she says during every interview that she is not a goth, people are still seeing her and her look, and especially combined with her screen name, with, you know, like, bat and shit, because, like, bats have been associated with the goth subculture before it was even called goth, right? Like, you know, you got Nick Cave with the Birthday Party, and, you know, the song Release the Bats. You got Bat Cave Club in London at around the same time on the complete opposite side of the planet. So yeah, like, bats have been a part of goth subculture before it was even called goth. Preach it, doll. But yeah, so it's like people are gonna see her, and especially her screen name, especially with her very eccentric look, which, you know, sometimes I have liked it. You know, because she does, like, you know, slightly different things every time. But yeah, like, there are times when I really, you know, have liked her look, but, you know, it's been happening since MySpace that she just has to go and prove to the entire internet that she's kind of a garbage person, who has garbage takes on so many things, but yeah, right. So yeah, it's like, it doesn't matter if she is or not. It doesn't matter if she says she is or not. What matters is that people see her, they see her screen name, they see her look, they will associate her with the goth subculture because the very eccentric theatrical way that she likes to dress is close enough to how a lot of goths dress when, you know, they're going out dressed more eccentrically. I could probably make an argument that her eye makeup at least has some partial influence from, like, Susie Sue or something, right? Like, you know, everybody knows Susie's eye makeup. Like, it's like that is like it's gotten to the point where, like 10, 20 years ago, like, Susie and the Banshees, like, her band logo was her eye makeup, right? Like, that's how iconic, you know, that kind of, you know, like, very theatrical eye makeup is, you know, within the goth subculture. So, I mean, at the very least, like, people see that very heavy theatrical-esque eye makeup, you know, that combined with, you know, the little, you know, antenna tiara things she puts on. They see that with, like, you know, the Bat Brat in her screen name. They're going to associate her with goths, right? So it doesn't matter if she is or not. What matters is that, like, you know, regular people will see her, assume she's goth, regardless of what she or anybody else says, and they are going to assume that, you know, that she is what, you know, something that goths consider an acceptable way to be. And, like, even goths of a certain age, of which, like, I was I knew she was a little bit older than me. I wasn't aware of how much older than me she is, right? Like, I thought she was closer to 5 years my senior, but then I find out she's a little bit more than that, right? I find out she's a little bit more than that during this whole hullabaloo that she just happened to cause for herself yet again. Main difference this time is it was like either the first time or the first time in a long time that this has gotten the attention of quote-unquote normal people drama, talk. Because internet drama has been a thing since LiveJournal, right? Is it too hard for her to ask her for a bit more decorum? I know, right? Like this woman is over 5 years my senior, and I'm like, for her. So yeah, like I usually tell people I'm about 40. That's close enough. I think this year I decided that it was my first 42nd birthday party of sorts, which I had with my cats, and I thought about going out busking downtown Ann Arbor or at least Depot Town here in Ipsy, but I think I decided against it at the last minute and just ordered in Domino's instead and just like watched Lost Boys or something with like a friend over Zoom. So yeah, it was like me, my cats, a friend over Zoom. Oh god, yeah, that is exactly what I did for my birthday this year. Was I watched Lost Boys with a friend over Zoom. Granted, I had it in my TV. He had it in his, and so yeah, that was my first 42nd birthday party. And 3 years ago, I had my first 40th birthday party. Wait, was it 3? No, it was 4 years ago I had my first 40th birthday party. So. I've been messing with people about my age since I was at least 25. And the only reason I say at least 25 is because that is like how long I've been messing with people about my age. And the reason I mess with people about my age is because of my dad's side of the family. It all comes back around to my family, this stream. It all somehow comes back around to my weird-ass family, especially my dad's side. We're all crazy on that side. Like, there's no way to get around that topic. Like, my dad's side, we're fucking bonkers. We are just whatever, right? We're just a bunch of... We're definitely something, aren't we? So where was I going with this? Right. So yeah, like my dad, he died at the age of 60, and I swear, I want to say, so let's see, I was about, okay, so that's how old I was when he died. And so let's see, when I was like 13, 14-ish, he was in his early 50s, and because he was almost 40 when I was born. So yeah, like he was in his early 50s, and like half of his AA group, maybe that's a little bit hyperbolic on approximating, the amount of his AA buddies, but whatever, that's neither here nor there. That's not the important part. The important part was there was a significant number of people from his AA group, usually the guys would come down on him a bit harder than the ladies, because, while the ladies knew he only had eyes for whatever woman he was married to at that time, which, the last 9-10 years of his life was my stepmother. So yeah, oh, wait, I forgot to pick up the cats' plates for their dinner. I'll be back in like a minute or so. Scooch, Mark. Wait, there's a third one. Please tell me that. Okay, this is... I'll be right back. Oh, here it is. Never mind. So yeah, like a bunch of his friends from AA insisted that he must have been dyeing his hair because, you know, there's no way that a man of his age wasn't at least, you know, 25% gray. You know, at least 25% salt and pepper they were expecting for a man who actually was as old as he was. And no, like all of his grays was in his facial hair. Like, so that's why my dad kept clean shaven from the age of 45 until, you know, like, you know, so basically like the last 15 years of his life. That's why my dad kept clean shaven. That's where his vanity was. But he didn't dye his hair. He had no interest in dyeing his hair. He just looked young for his age. Though, to be honest, like his hair did kind of go gray. So he's one of those black Irish, like many from his side of the family. Oh, there's where that is. Okay. That so what is referred to as black Irish? There are some hypotheses, because a lot of people think that black Irish look very Mediterranean. That, you know, you see swarthier complexions a little bit more. You don't like the most common hair and eye color combinations on Ireland are like a dark brown, almost black hair, but with blue eyes. Like that is literally the most common hair and eye color combination in Ireland. People think it's red hair, but like no, it's actually slightly less common than it is in like Hungary. Elizabeth Bathory. She was a redhead. She was Hungarian. Like, red hair is slightly more common in Hungary than it is in the British Isles, but that's another story for another time. Main reason that I know that is because my stepmother's family, at least on her dad's side, was mostly Hungarian, which I remembered because but yeah, I don't remember exactly why I remembered that my stepmother's dad's side of the family was largely Hungarian, but I do remember that somehow, and I remember her saying that like there were more redheads on her dad's side of the family than on my dad's side of the family, which is probably true. And almost all of the redheads on my stepmother's dad's side of her family were, yeah, almost all the redheads were Hungarian. So yeah, where was I going with this? Oh, right, yeah. So my dad, though, and we both have the same hair-eye color combo, which is naturally like a dark kind of chestnut brown with green eyes, but we're also a lot more fair. My dad was, and I am, than his dad was. His dad was a little bit swarthier. You know, I think I have a photo of, I think I have one whole photo of my dad's family. It would have been when he was a child. But, where was I going with this? I was going somewhere. Fuck if I know anymore. Right. But yeah, my dad did not dye his hair. Like, his hair... So, like, my dad was, So yeah, like I said, my dad and he and I both have the same hair and eye color combo, and yet I'm the only one, even before transitioning, that he did not name after himself. Why? Anybody's guess is good. But yeah, like I'm the only one of my dad's kids he did not covertly name after himself, and yet I'm his only boy. Now my maternal grandparents, they, her dad wanted me to have a Cornish name, and, you know, when I was born, and I am not going to disclose that, but, what was I saying? Oh, right, yeah. So my dad and I, we have this exact same hair color and eye color combination naturally, which is like a dark, often called chestnut brown with green eyes. So he had dark brown hair and green eyes naturally. I naturally have dark brown hair and green eyes. Some people think my eye color is a little bit on the hazel side of green, but it's, I don't know. I think that more depends on what light I'm standing in than of any sort of, you know, situation where, like, because some people do, like, based on the temperature of, it's got something to do with the temperature. Like, there are some people whose eyes seem to naturally change color, quote unquote, but it's about blood flow to the iris related to external temperatures, or similar principle to how mood rings work. So it's based on your personal body temperature, which can be influenced by external forces, and to some extent one's mood, or, you know, something, you know, perhaps if one is feeling a bit ill, you know, so yeah, so yeah, it's not, so yeah, my dad and I, it's not our eyes that seemed to, quote-unquote, change color. It was our hair. Like, in the summer, if we're out getting a lot of sun, our hair would be like a very bright auburn. Not a ginger. Like, ginger hair, like the, I also occasionally see people calling it true redheads, but it's like, you know, ginger and auburn are two different things. Like, unfortunately, the hair dye companies have kind of warped people's perception of what color auburn is, and there is a bit of a standardization in color names when we're talking about, like, you know, the design industries and all of that. So, like, auburn is not exactly a shade of red, it's a shade of brown. So people with auburn hair are brunettes. It's just, we're brunettes, and I say we because in the summer, if I'm out getting a lot of sun and not dyeing my hair in the summer, my hair, like my dad's would be in the summer, was a very bright auburn. But, like I said, it's not redhead red. It's, like I said, it's a very bright, vibrant, reddish auburn. It's, so it's a shade of brown. We are brunettes. It's... Gingers, on the other hand, we've got, like, the only ginger that... Actually, no, my grandmother on my dad's side, she was ginger. And my sister I'm seeing tomorrow is ginger. Now, I did mention in the description box, and kind of alluded in the title of this stream, that I will be having Thanksgiving-ish dinner with my sister tomorrow, which will be Friday. And why? Why is that? I kind of want to like give the whole story, but at the same time, there is a literal 5-year-old involved, and I feel very weird about that. I feel very weird about that. Like, this is my niece. Like, I have barely shared photos of my niece with even my close friends online. Like, they're all like saved to they're all saved to my OneDrive, which I know is technically online, and privacy is to some extent forfeit on the internet. But I'm like, you know, I've put them in the vaulted folder, and so I am doing as much as I reasonably can to protect, at the very least, the image of my niece from potentially nefarious people. Just because I'm a jackass with internet access and copious amounts of free time, who has strong opinions about life, the universe, and everything, and sometimes those opinions get him into trouble.
Kitty cats! I'm so super! I'm so super! Little now. I'm so super! Little baby!
The cats are learning Welsh. I know, like, they don't speak it, but they are, I've kind of sort of been switching to, well, very gradually switching to giving them little, like, commands and directives in Gymraeg. Why? Just because, why not? Especially if I end up able to follow through on my hopes to what? Yeah, I'm gonna have 2 chicken fillets, because I accidentally skipped lunch, and I am going to be up and about a bit earlier tomorrow than I'm usually used to, and so that means I'm going to be making my coffee and the juice and the cranberry juice and almond milk that passes for my breakfast a little bit earlier than I'm used to, and that, of course, also means that I will be hungry again for lunch a little bit earlier than I'm used to, so. And plus, it's like, I mean, okay, yeah, I'm putting mayonnaise on this, but I am not ashamed to say that I like a good mayonnaise. I really do. I know there's that whole, like, meme, as in, like, a culturally spread idea or belief or whatever. Sometimes people put it in the form of a picture with text on it about, you know, which is also colloquially known as a meme, but when that kind, you know, but when that kind of image, you know, internet photo, you know, thing first started, they were often referred to more correctly as image macros. So yeah, yeah, I know there's a lot of people who like to say that mayonnaise is a garbage condiment, and I'm like, I will mostly agree with people about ketchup being a bit of a garbage condiment. I'm not the biggest fan of ketchup, as evidenced by my little container full of ketchup packets. So yeah, obviously not the biggest fan of ketchup, but a good mayonnaise is not a garbage condiment. A good mayonnaise is a perfectly acceptable condiment. In fact, a good mayonnaise is a perfectly good condiment, to be more precise. So there's that. And then what happens? I don't know. Oh, right, yeah. So, yeah. Ah, shit, that's right. Cast iron gets hot all the way through. So, yeah, where was I going with this? Right. So, yeah. Like, there are reasons that, you know, in part because it's my sister and it's more her business, and plus there is a literal 5-year-old, so even if she were on the stream with me, hypothetically, I would advise her not to say anything about it, you know, like before we started streaming or anything, because, you know, because there's a literal 5-year-old involved. But long story short, we're having harvest, you know, dinner on Friday this year. So, and since I have actively been back in contact with my sister and her family this last year and change, but like this is the first year that they invited me to a big family dinner, and my aunt is going to be there, and I have a sweater that I made for my aunt. So what else was I? Oh, right. I was going to start making cranberry sauce, and I was going to find, so let's see. Okay. So, okay. Or you know what? Since I'm going to put it in the rice cooker to reheat it tomorrow, I think I'm just going to put it in there after it's made. So, okay. After it's done, I'm going to put it into this part of the rice cooker and then like put some cling film over it, put that in the fridge. That's what that thing's called. Okay, now that's a magnet. Be right back. God damn it.
For now, little noodle.
I really want to do some cat shaming right now, but he walked away in a different direction, and I don't feel bothered to go after him to bring him to the shame stream. I don't know who else has a cat who likes to try and bury their food after eating it, but he only does this with the wet food, which that doesn't make it any less. I don't think I'd be any less annoyed if he was doing this with the dry kibble as well, but hold on. She tells us why I had to step away for a second. But the fact that he does try and bury his wet food, like to the point that he won't stop sometimes until he has physically dragged something into the dish. That is literally the most annoying habit a cat can have, and of course he has it. He's cute as shit, so, you know, which gives him some leeway to get away with everything. but this has to be, like, you know, it's like, seriously, cat, seriously, why? Why? Like I said, it's literally the most annoying habit a cat can have. I don't care if somebody has a different opinion on that. Opinions can be wrong. Or rather, not all opinions carry equal weight. Let's put it that way. Like, not all opinions carry equal weight. Like, somebody who has an informed opinion about a thing, you know, like, if this is, like, their area of professional expertise, then, yeah, like, that opinion is worth more about that topic than somebody who does not have that professional experience or educational background. Oh, no, never mind. Ugh, that one got squished somehow. Okay, so let's see. The base recipe on this, and I always have to look at it, because at most I make this once a year. At most, right? I think we could do it again on when I go out for solstice. Which the big family gathering of my sisters is going to be on the 18th of next month. So, shit, okay. Okay. But so yeah, like I said, I really need to write it down. That way I'm not constantly looking at the base recipe like some jackass who doesn't know how to cook his own stuff. One of these days I am going to write down a lot of my various recipes, because apparently people think that I actually know how to cook, when more often than not I'm just kind of winging it. But you know, it's not like I went to a class for anything about this. And we saw that today's dinner is just, okay, I put the loaf of bread back in the fridge like I should have, but it's like, it's like little, like, food service chicken chopped and pressed cutlet patties with this awesome grainy bread. And a pretty good mayo. So it's like, left to my own devices, unless there's a good reason for me to, you know, cook something a little bit more substantial, I will eat crap. Like, the quality of the food I eat is dependent on a number of factors. One of them being mood. Am I in the mood for cooking something more substantial than barely palatable crap? To which I'm referring to these chicken chopped and pressed cutlets. Now the bread is good. The bread tastes better than the chicken. The bread tastes better than the food service chicken that I got from the food distro at the Catholic church up around the corner from me. Which is saying something. To be fair, though, the bread I got from the open-air 24-hour food pantry that is across the street from the Ypsilanti Food Co-op. So my guess is somebody, you know, bought an extra loaf of bread from there and dropped it off at the thing, and I got to it at just the right time. And of course, it was a bread that I can have. So sure. But yeah, left to my own devices, I'll eat barely better than crap, okay? Well, like I said, depending on my mood. So, like, lately, I've been eating barely better than crap because seasonal affective disorder. I might sound a little bit better mood right now, but if you were to take a look at my front room anyway, you will see that appearances can be deceiving at times. So, yeah, like, And in fact, one of my social workers, she was kind of on my ass about this a few weeks ago, but at the same time, I also might benefit from, I don't know, like next time I go in to get my pills, like pick up some St. John's wort, because I know that's been helpful in the past. But that's basically it. That's basically the story. So let's see. Got my 3 cups of cranberry. And then it wants sugar. All right. Now, because my sister's mom is like 87 years old, and like she is a stubborn as hell spitfire of a woman. Like I have joked with people, especially my sister, that her mother would be the Sophia of her group if Sophia had less of a filter, right? Like, oh gosh. This woman's a trip and a half. She's probably going to outlive all of us, and I'm including my 5-year-old niece in this. She's too stubborn to die. She is, like, but yeah, she was also she's been hovering around pre-diabetic for most of the last decade. So I figured this year, instead of the usual granulated white sugar, I was going to use stevia in the raw, which says that you can, do, like for 1 cup sugar, do 1 cup of stevia in the raw, which is what the base recipe calls for. Now, I say base recipe for a reason, and I'll rinse that out in a bit. But closing this first might be helpful. Now, I say base recipe for a reason. That's because I don't remember if anybody was watching the stream yet when I got to it in the fridge, when I was cleaning out the fridge half an hour, maybe more ago, maybe 45 minutes ago, something like that. Hold on. So, when I was cleaning the fridge and I came across my ginger, and I mentioned to the void of people who were not yet watching the stream, like a jackass that I am, where the hell did I put it? Cats, where's, oh wait. That's right, I left it out. I left it out because I am smart. S-M-R-T, smart. So, from the base recipe, all right, there's a good, okay. I'm going to use this one. That should be plenty. Okay. Yeah. Okay. So I use a little bit of ginger, a little bit of lime juice. Oh. Oh, right there in front of me. But I need something from this side too. Now, ideally, I would shave from a whole nutmeg, like a civilized person, but I did not want to go back to the store yesterday, and I think even if I did, at best, I barely have the food stamp allotment for it at this time. So, so let's see. Hmm. Oh, shit, I do have a whole nutmeg. Okay, that changes everything. Or, okay, I have a jar that has, like, I don't know, a few whole nutmeg in them. Okay, is there anything else here that I wanted? Yeah. You know what, this plus the other thing, that's gonna be fine. Okay. So I thought I might have to use pumpkin pie spice for this, but no, apparently I did have a jar of whole nutmegs. So, oh wow, this isn't even opened yet. So, how the hell long has that been here? Long enough for me to forget. That's the important part. But, like I said, a sell-by date. In fact, this even says best before November 9th, 2020. So, it's just like a couple of weeks past the sell-by date. So, however long it's been here, I'm apparently using it at a decent time, all things considered. So, let's see. I've got my fresh ginger. I've got a single nutmeg, and I think I might want to store the rest of these in the fridge, just for the sake of maintaining some semblance of freshness. There we go. So I've got fresh ginger, a single whole nutmeg, which I'll get to in a sec. I've also got some cloves. These are whole cloves, and I'm going to get to that in a second. I've got some lime juice from Whole Foods 365 brand, and what I was looking for before I remembered it was over here. What the hell? Is my cactus throwing spines? Why is it throwing spines? If it is indeed throwing spines. So, we also have an orange. So, and I come up in here where, there we go. So, this is what I keep my silverware in, my flatware technically, because none of it is even silver plated, but that's just me being pedantic. So, whoa, 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 whoa. How did the oven turn on? That might explain something. Okay, so I'm going to move these pistachios, and I'm going to move this. Now, I got the pistachios for a reason, and that's because I knew, as of yesterday, that I had way too much fucking, way too many fucking cranberries. In fact, I think I might add some more. I think I might make a little bit of a bigger batch, because this says, because the base recipe on that says that it, when it's simmered down, it should be 2 1/4 cups. But actually, let me see, because I was going to try. Now, the reason that I did get the pistachios is because there's this classic cranberry nut bread that I was hoping I would have time for today, but I don't think I do. I really don't think I do. I am definitely not going to have time for it tomorrow before my sister shows up, unless I do like all of my prep tonight for it, which I would not look forward to. Okay, mix together orange peel, shortening egg. Oh, so this also wanted orange peel too, so stir in cranberries. Bop, 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 bop. Okay, this doesn't give an estimate for total time. It does say bake 55 minutes, cool on a rack for around 15 minutes. So we're already looking at an hour and 10. And then we're thinking about prep time. You know what? What time is it now? 2:47. Yeah, I wanted to get to bed by 3. I'm already going to be functioning on a bit less sleep tomorrow than ideal. I might nap a bit in my sister's car on the way, her return trip to my self heading out to. How many cranberries does this one? Okay, this one's a cup and a half, which Okay, so let's see. This started with 3 cups of this. Well, of course, I've also got that other 3 packages there, so I've got more than enough cranberries to do shit with. Okay. Oh, no, this is why I got the pistachios, because I'm like, wait a second. Why is this? Yeah, this only says half cup nuts chopped coarsely. But this says specifically pistachios. This wanted the, okay, so this was a thing here. Okay. Okay, so, okay, I'm gonna up the recipe by a third because why the hell not, right? Okay. But I don't think I'm going to want to, I don't think I'm necessarily going to need to put more sugar or adequate sugar substitute in there. So let's see. Okay. Well, don't escape me, little cranberry. Seriously, Whisk? You're doing this to me today? But I will need to add more water. Okay. It's a little scant half cup rather than, you know, a little more than a third cup, which is what I was aiming for, but whatever, it's gonna boil down. So we're also going to, do I have a proper zester? I want to say I do, or at the very least I did. If I did have one, oh, no, that's a garlic. Says it's a garlic crusher, but honestly, like, I thought it would be a lot easier on me than the classic, this kind of garlic crusher. So, you know, it's this kind. It was like sold as a garlic crusher. This is not gonna. No, this is not gonna zest anything. Okay. Nope. I was pretty damn sure that I had a citrus zester, but my guess is I accidentally left that with Best X because why not, right? Okay, so these are starting to pop, and that is, you know, I might have added a little bit much on the water since I was gonna since part of my cranberry sauce involves like juicing, like usually I use a little more than half of an orange for its juice, but you know what? So let's see, here we've got my antique, I estimated this at, want to say it's before 1930, probably before 1920. This is indeed a leaded glass citrus ream, so definitely not microwave safe, but it is food safe. So I was thinking just now, oh wait, you know what? Does the box grater? I am dirtying up shit that I don't need to. Fuck. Oh, yep, okay. So this side, I think this is what I used like 3 years ago. So I'm zesting the orange into the citrus ream because that should make it come out a little easier. That's some sesame oil, but falling down, not spilling over. That's nice. So I am really not trying to cramp in on the cooking goth and his territory with this cranberry sauce recipe that I'm kind of giving after I finished cleaning out my fridge. Except for the really gross part, which I'm going to put off until after I get back home tomorrow, because it's gross. It's gross. I let a few things go way longer in the crisper than they should have. Which is how you know that the moldy melon in that episode of Bob's Burgers is not based on fact, because you know it would not have held on even, you know, a year and a half, you know, even half the time it was allegedly in the crisper. Excuse me. Okay. Yeah, I didn't really intend to give my my cranberry sauce recipe here. And like, you know, like I said, for the most part, like I barely know how to write a recipe. So yes, wonderful little naked zested orange. Oh wait, that's steak knives. Why the hell? Okay. I know where my utility knives are. Don't judge me. Okay, so like ideally you probably should cut your oranges on a cutting board, but I have been cooking basically since I was 5, you know, with parental supervision and assistance. And I do not mean that, you know, like I was assisting my parents. I mean, like, my mother basically let me make grilled cheese from beginning to end, as long as, you know, she was in the kitchen with me from the age of 5. So I've literally been cooking in the area of about 35 years. So basically my entire life at this point. So okay, so let's see. Orange is juiced and zested, and it's probably a little bit more juice than I would usually add, but you know, it should boil down. It should simmer down to a more acceptable amount of liquid versus solids. Yeah, my sister wanted to have a can of that jellied cranberry slop, as Bob Belcher would call it. And I was like, I was a fresh cranberry sauce home long before Bob's Burgers. So where the shit did I put my... Right there, duh. Okay, so we've got your nutmeg and your ginger. Now, I kind of wanted to shower night before this, so, you know, that I'm better equipped to go and, you know, like, get my shit and get out the door tomorrow when Ruby gets here. Excuse me. Excuse me, what the shit? So, I'm going to, you know, just like talk out the rest of this. So, like I said, this was 4 cups of whole cranberries. Okay, 4 cups whole cranberries, 1.5 cups of water, and 1 cup of sugar, or in this case, because I care about Norma, she's not my mother, but, you know, she's my sister's mother, and yes, I am her brother from another mother, so she's my sister from the same mister, but where was I going with that? Right, yeah. So, you know, like, she's not my mother, but I care about her, and I know she's kind of been hovering in that, you know, like, glucose something, the insulin resistant, whatever, the pre-diabetic. I know she's been hovering in that area off and on for at least the last decade, maybe off and on for longer. I don't know exactly all what meds she takes and all that, but, you know, I decided to make it with stevia instead of sugar, because at least to my palate, when you're cooking with it in something, I do notice a little bit of a difference in the taste if I'm like putting it in my coffee with my half and half or something. But I notice less of a difference when it's something like this. And plus, like I said, like, I also added like the zest and juice of 1 whole orange. Now, you're not going to want to add the whole nutmeg. Like, a little nutmeg goes a long way. I just eyeball it. I would recommend, for as much cranberries and everything that's in here right now, that's going to be simmering down in a bit, I want to say aim for about 2 teaspoons. Aim for about 2 teaspoons, or maybe 1.5 teaspoons. Like I said, I just eyeball it. I just eyeball it because that's how long I've been cooking. I've been cooking basically my entire life. Like I said, like very simple things with parental supervision because, you know, my mother was a nurse, and while she knew that I was like a relatively advanced 5-year-old, I'm still a 5-year-old, right? So, yeah, I would also like I had a step stool to see the stove and everything too. So, but yeah, so yeah, I've basically been cooking since I was 5. You know, very simple stuff. You know, for the first few years, of course, and more often as my mother's little handy kitchen helper, elf, when you know, until I was at least 10, right? So, but yeah, I've basically been cooking since I was 5. That's like in the area of 35 years and then some possibly. So like I said, I just eyeball it. I would say between 1 and 2 teaspoons of fresh grind from your nutmeg. You know, your ideally fresh nutmeg. If you have to use pre-ground, sure. There's a clear difference in the taste though. There's a clear difference in the taste. Like, I don't really know what other way to put it, but it definitely tastes fresher. It definitely tastes fresher. Like, that's one of the reasons that they sell nutmeg whole, like, you know, like a bunch of them in a little thing there, like they do. And that's because like the flavor really does change a bit. Like, you know, when it's ground fresh, you know, like shaved off the thing, versus, you know, when you're getting it pre-ground out of a jar. Then you're gonna want to grate your fresh ginger. Like I said, I always eyeball it, but I would say aim for in the area of a little under half a tablespoon. Like, we're talking fresh ginger, so a little bit really does go a long way, okay? I would say, like I said, I usually eyeball it. But I would say a scant 1 ounce of lime juice, ideally fresh squeezed, but, you know, if you're getting it in the bottle with the sediment at the bottom, that should suffice as long as it's relatively fresh. Now, for the fresh cloves, I usually do as Elton Brown does, and I put them in my coffee grinder. I wipe out my coffee grinder before I put the fresh clove in there. Again, like, it's one of those things that, like, I eyeball it, and I would... If I were to... I don't even know, like... I just usually, like, pick out, like, a small... Like as much as fits, like, in the little cup in my hand. So I would say probably... I mean, you know what? This is a new thing because the... that I got fairly recently because the previous one had definitely gone stale on me, so... Which, of course, I felt bad about because, you know, Catholic upbringing, right? So let's see. Oh, nope, that's a little bit much. Okay, so I aim for about this much. Oh, you know what? Okay. There's no good way to show this, is there? Let's see, can I pop this up? No. Okay. So let's see. So maybe about... No, there's no good light. This is not good light. So let's see. Let me count. Let's see. We've got 2, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 15, 17. So I'd say like between 15 and 17, 15 and 20 whole cloves. Grind them fresh. So yeah, between 15 and 20 individual whole cloves, grind them fresh, and you want to add them once this is reduced by a good third, like you don't want to add them as swiftly as you do the orange, because at least I don't like to do that. I like to add them after it's reduced by a third, and then simmer it down by another. I usually eyeball it, so like I would say, like, you know, so after this reduces by a third on the simmer, like I said, then I add the ginger, the nutmeg, the cloves, and the lime. Like I said, a little under an ounce, probably closer to like 2/3 of an ounce. You know, it's like not even quite a scant 1 ounce. So, you know, like in the area of about 2/3 of an ounce of this. Like, I don't know, is that like a splash? Going by imperial measurements, fuck if I know. But yeah, and you want to add this after the cranberries with the water and the sugar reduces by about a third. So that's, I'm gonna have sufficient time to shower and plait my hair up so that I am fairly neat and tidy when my sister comes tomorrow morning for me, which is going to be like 1 in the afternoon. But if everything goes as planned with my sleep schedule, I'm going to be making it through tomorrow on 6 hours of sleep for the most part. But I'll probably nap a little bit when I come home. But then what was I going? I don't know. But yeah, I'm going to jump in the shower, let this reduce by a third, so which means I'm going to end the stream in like a minute. So yeah, like I said, 4 cups cranberries, whole cranberries. This is a whole fresh cranberry household. We are not hollow inside with our hearts dead. 1.5 cups of water and about a cup of sugar, or adequate sugar substitute in this case for me today. Let it simmer down by about a third. Then you add little over 1/2 ounce of lime juice, ideally fresh squeezed, but whatever. Between 15 and 20 whole cloves ground fresh. So you want to count out the cloves fresh, whole, when they're whole, and then grind them fresh in your coffee grinder, or if you're one of those people with more dollars than cents, a dedicated spice grinder. But trust me, your coffee will do just fine. Shave off about, what did I say? Like about a teaspoon, maybe 2, between 1 and 2 teaspoons of fresh nutmeg. You want to shave that off, and you want to aim for about 1/2 tablespoon. So about 1.5 teaspoons of fresh ginger. And then you want to let it reduce by another 10%. And then, you either let it cool for a little bit and then serve, or you experiment with storing it overnight in your rice cooker's jobby, the bowl part, and then hopefully reheat it with steam the next day at your sister's place. So let's see, gonna turn down the heat a little bit lower, and like I said, I'm getting off the stream to go and clean myself, because I did shower 2 days ago, so that I'm trying to bring myself at least that much out of the seasonal affective depression hole. But I should shower again. It is my sister. It is my sister's mother. It is my aunt, who I haven't seen in almost 20 years. Like, not since my dad's memorial service. Not really a proper funeral, because he wanted to be cremated and then have his ashes scattered from a train. I don't know how that worked out. I think I might ask my sister tomorrow. So, Will, or Snisneg, goodbye. As always, take care of yourselves, wear your sunscreen. Feel free to just like obsessively refresh my social media accounts, which should be visible on the little link tree URL down in the description box below, and also on my link tree should be like a PayPal tip jar if you found this at least vaguely entertaining. And if you want to continue all of mine, if you want to further encourage all of my nonsense and you yourself have more dollars than cents, feel free to donate to my Patreon. My $50 Patreon, she is taking a her job has got is basically like giving everybody a forced something like 4-week vacation without pay. So she says she's not getting paid until at least mid-January. So, or at least nothing that she can spend easily, nothing that, she could spend quite, like she was for this last 3 months. But thanks so much to my Patreon supporters, who would include my friend Allie, my friend Susie. Oh shit, there's a third person. There's a fourth person. Because Courtney also, she was my $50 person, and I followed up on my promise for the $50 tier people, of which she's so far the first and only one, though she did give me a heads up that she'll be taking a few weeks off from that. Like at least, she told me she'll be taking about 4 to 6 weeks off from that, while she's waiting to get paid again. But yeah, if she feels free, like leaving a comment on this nonsense, yeah, I do follow through with my $50 pledge to like call up and sing either while you're at Costco with your significant other, or just to your voicemail like I did earlier today. And I will sing. The first song will definitely be "You're Crazy" by Guns N' Roses. Anything after that, my choice. Just like, it is my choice on the exact day and time of the calendar month that I call you. I will call you once per calendar month. I pick the day, I pick the time. I will *67 my phone number so that you cannot call me back. And we will not have a conversation. I will sing at you no matter where you are, or on your voicemail, and I will hang up, and that will be it. There will be no conversation. There will be nothing. Like, I do not take requests on this. It is like, whatever I sing to you, it is my choice. So yeah, if you want to be like woken up at like 4 a.m. for your time zone, and and you have an extra $50 every month to burn, sure. You definitely at least deserve the "You're Crazy" by Guns N' Roses, if you want to be, if you want me to be quite frank about that. So, fourth Patreon supporter, I am brain farting on so bad right now. I feel bad. I should have this written down somewhere, but I don't, because I'm a moron. Other than that, feel free to have exactly the kind of day you deserve, whatever that means for you. And I mean that in all possible ways. So, all right, take care and goodbye. Well, my darlings.